1, 2, is this on?
Over time, there's been plenty of wrestlers we forgot WWE still employed.
JTG would like literally hide in the locker room and just like not want to, like for him to be there and we'll get his $500 a day, do nothing, and he catering and hide in the locker room was like perfectly fine.
There are guys who are hiding in the back right now, hoping that they don't get picked for a Superstars match tonight.
These performers may have been on the roster for years, but were only used sporadically.
A lot of things with the booking with the WWE, everything was sort of booked to not get over. Everything was sort of booked to be a sabotage. The bottom line is with that company is they never gave me a full chance. And that's all I want.
We're talking about those who rarely featured in storylines and were mostly seen in battle royals or squash matches on the main shows.
Wait a minute, so you pay me this much to keep eating catering? I can wait another 3 years, and that's basically what we did.
For this video, we're covering such talent by briefly running down their career, showing some of their highlights, and then examining why they were barely used after a certain point.
So, they brought me back to work with Punk, and that was whenever they just kind of killed off what I had going, but I believe there was so much more to that character.
Today, we list 10 wrestlers WWE employed for years to do nothing.
I was 1 year into a 3-year contract. They called and said, creative has nothing for you. That was the only thing that I was ever really pissed off. I was like, come on, man, I've been here for 16 years since the first day I walked into this locker room. Give me something else.
Fans will remember Sho Funaki's initial run with WWF as part of Kai and Tai, where he was seen as an accomplished wrestler who could occasionally provide comedy. He was especially funny cutting lip-synced overdubbed promos, which spoofed how Hollywood used to badly dub kung fu movies. Indeed. Once the invasion storyline began, Funaki was one of the many WWF performers who got overshadowed and had little to do. This changed once the company split the rosters in 2002, when the Japanese star became SmackDown's #1 announcer. Here, Funaki was able to show his personality and comedic charm again.
Funaki, SmackDown, this is Funaki, SmackDown #1 announcer.
You talk about blatant discrimination, you ought to be feeling me, player. I mean, Oriental man. What are you?
Tell me, you didn't just say that? Oh! I am next. That's my name. #1 announcer. You just left.
Once his interviews became limited, Funaki began to wrestle more.
Funaki-san, reconsider. I'm more than you can handle, bro. I'll cut your two-tone mullet and kick you dead in the camel toe.
He didn't really feature in any storylines, but did capture the Cruiserweight title in 2005. Funaki received a hero's welcome upon returning home to Japan as champion.
What an ovation for Funaki!
After losing the Cruiserweight belt, Funaki was used exclusively as a lower card jobber for the next 3 years.
We have just 6 superstars remaining. Check 5 superstars. Steven's launching Funaki. Here's the cover, and it's over.
He survived many rounds of releases and was even repackaged in 2008 as Kong Funaki. Funaki was completely absent for a year before wrestling his final WWE match in the WrestleMania 26 pre-show Battle Royal. He was released a month later after 12 years of service. Aside from his reliability in the ring and great attitude backstage, it's said that Funaki remained employed for so long because he was friends with Shawn Michaels, as they both reside in San Antonio, Texas. So once Michaels retired at Mania 26, Funaki soon followed.
Just a sexy boy! Sexy boy! I'm not a boy toy! Boy toy!
Funaki returned to WWE in 2014 as a liaison and translator for Japanese talent. He'd sometimes be seen in this interpreter role on television. As well as this, Funaki is the Japanese language commentator for pay-per-views. However, some of his best contributions since returning came courtesy of hilarious appearances on The Edge and Christian Show.
Uzi-kan! Uzi-kan! Uzi-kan!
You choppy his pee-pee.
As we saw with Funaki, being a reliable hand in the ring can keep you in a contract for a long time. That's because companies always need enhancement workers to make the stars look good while also showing up-and-comers the ropes. After 2003, Val Venis was used exclusively in this role for the next 5 years, where Sunday Night Heat was his mainstay. If you ever found yourself watching that program from 03 to 08, there was a good chance you'd see Val. He'd been banished to Heat for so long it was strange seeing him pop up on Raw every so often.
I've done quite a few adult films. Let me think, Shaving Ryan's Privates, Gladiator, how about Harry Twatter?
After coming in as the adult film star, and from there joining the Right to Censor, to then acting as assistant GM to Eric Bischoff, Val was now just another body on the roster, though backstage he was considered the gatekeeper for new signings and younger wrestlers to see how well they could work.
And I remember Hunter specifically stating, if you can't have a good match with Val, you can't have a good match with anyone. In some ways that kind of irked me, and in other ways I was kind of like, well, that's kind of respectful too. I didn't really know how to take it. It was like a double-edged sword for me almost. One side of the factor is I didn't really appreciate being stuck in that position, and at the same time I realized I was in that position because they respected my ability in the ring, but it's not really what I wanted to do.
Heat went off the air in May 2008, meaning Val was not seen again on screen, though he remained under contract until January of the next year, thus bringing to an end his decade-long run with the company, in which the first 5 years were essentially night and day, compared to Val's second 5 in terms of his positioning on the roster. In the 2000s, Scotty 2 Hotty was basically the SmackDown version of Val Venus, someone who peaked in the Attitude Era, but fell off considerably afterwards. Scotty suffered 2 major injuries along the way, but once he was fit again, he remained positioned at the bottom of the card, besides the tag title reign with Rikishi. After dropping the tag belts in the spring of 2004, Scotty spent the next 3 years relegated to the C shows, while occasionally doing jobs on SmackDown.
Leg sweep planting Scotty 2 Hotty. This is not good for Scotty 2 Hotty. Wow! Tucks underneath the clothesline. Oh, and what a double team by the Pitbulls.
Someone backstage once suggested Scotty for a different role on the show. However, Vince McMahon scoffed at the idea, stating that Scotty was almost on the same level as a local enhancement talent, all while Scotty was stood right next to the chairman. In an interview with Fightful, Scotty mentioned how McMahon didn't even recognize him when he returned to coach for NXT a decade later.
But I don't think he knew who I was. I honestly don't know. I'm sure he got my reports that, the live event reports go out to everybody. I'm sure he got those that I would write with the name Scott Garland on there, but I never got any feeling that he knew who I was.
Scotty was released in May 2007. In hindsight, he wishes he'd left the company earlier and regrets signing his final WWE contract.
I was 1 year into a 3-year contract. They called and said, we don't, creative has nothing for you, of course. Which is, that was the only thing that ever, I was ever really pissed off. I was like, come on, man, I've been here for 16 years since the first day I walked into this locker room. Give me something else.
As of October 2025, Tamina is still contracted to WWE, though she hasn't been seen since March 2023. From what we can gather, it's not because of an injury or anything. Creative just doesn't have anything for her.
As for Wendy Chu, if she picks up, she's headed back to NXT. Bragging rights as well. Can she end it? Oh, she's done it!
But she wants to inflict more punishment on Chance.
Oh, she may regret it. Tamina may regret this. Oh, what?
As such, they have taken Tamina off TV while removing her name from the active roster. Upon debuting in 2010, Tamina never received a push, but was used in numerous roles. She was a valet, romantic interest, bodyguard, and tag team partner.
I wonder what's going through Tamina's head. Sticking around with...
Oh, man!
We also know there's plenty of divas looking to knock him off that pedestal.
Hooks the legs. Kick out by Naomi. And Tamina getting involved in the action.
Multiple injuries kept her off television at various different times. However, at this point, it's unlikely we'll see Tamina return, unless it's for a one-off.
Tamina Snuka, she doesn't get the flowers she deserves, but that woman backstage is a pillar, a rock to so many of us, and she is, we call her Mama Bear because she is just a true Mama Bear. She's kept me up when I need to stay up, positive when I was trying to be negative.
Given her age, WWE is likely just waiting for her contract to expire. Apollo Crews is in a similar boat to Tamina in terms of being on the missing list these days. Although Apollo has been featured more, he's been a victim of several stop-and-start pushes over the years, while also being routinely lost in the shuffle creatively.
Oh my God!
Some fans thought Crews was brought up too quickly to Monday Night Raw in 2016 after impressing in NXT, since he only wrestled in one title match on the Black and Gold brand, not to mention how he was called up without much of a plan.
Crews lands on his feet. Apollo Crews launched. Oh my God! Crews is out.
Apollo continued to meander in the mid-card until finally capturing a belt in 2020 when he won the United States Championship. An Intercontinental title run came the next year. However, by mid-2022, Crews was back in NXT before returning to the main shows a year later.
This is who I am. This is how I talk. I am a descendant of Nigerian royalty.
Excuse me, do we have a problem?
Get out of my face.
But once again, there was no plan. It's at this point where fans may have forgotten Apollo was still signed, due to his sporadic appearances on Raw and SmackDown.
Oh, Jesus! Oh, God, no, that's bad. Countered by Bate, shoulders down, and Tyler Bate escapes with another victory.
One more time, straight up
There it is.
and straight down. There's the Brainbuster, and Imperium continues their dominance. And Brian right into position, and there's the Colossus.
No kicking out of that.
Into the cover, and Jinder sets the example he was looking for.
It looked like the company was going to do something with him in 2024. He became a backstage gossiper who spread rumors and information that may or may not have been true.
Wasn't Los Garza that attacked you guys? What? It was DIY. Trust me. I saw it.
This storyline only lasted for a short time before it appeared to be scrapped. Cruz suffered a torn pec at the start of 2025 and hasn't been seen since.
We've seen that before, haven't we, from Gargano?
Disqualification.
Seriously.
Cracker.
Just like with Apollo, wrestlers doing well in NXT only to get ruined on the main roster was a tale as old as time during Vince McMahon's regime. Eric Young has been one of the most outspoken people from this period when it comes to Vince's misguided vision or lack thereof for certain talent. Success in NXT as part of the Sanity faction saw Young promoted to the main roster, but it wasn't long until they were immediately put on the back burner, with Young in particular being used solely to put others over.
Now Jeff Hardy thinking about the twist of fate early. Oh, and Jeff Hardy couldn't get all of it there. Oh, got caught.
Young got caught. Hook of the leg by No Way Jose and senton. Hits the mark. Good night.
That was if he was even on the show, since there were large spells where he was off TV completely.
Tonight, Eric Young. Oh, no. Oh, miss.
Eric met with McMahon to discuss his frustrations, but these went on deaf ears, which forced Young to get brutally honest with the chairman, something Eric revealed in an interview with Chris Van Vliet.
He was not in my corner, so I wasn't in the show. And I would tell him to his face, you failed as a leader. You can't find something for Eric Young to do. It's a broken system. It's impossible to be creative. It's impossible to get ahead. It's impossible to feel like you have even a foothold in your career at all.
Young continued to do jobs while not appearing on the main shows until his release in April 2020, which he spoke about in a second interview with Van Vliet.
I mean, I was making very good money and wasn't going to work. I would have fired me. You know, like I was well aware it was coming.
In late 2022, with Vince now gone, Young was rehired by Triple H. Eric had been slated to appear in a trio alongside Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy. Before the TNA champion could ever make it back to TV, McMahon had returned. Young refused to work with Vince and was therefore released from the company for a second time.
There's a lot of reasons where I didn't want to work there at that point, but the number one reason was I don't want to work for a person like that, you know. And this is long before all the other stuff would come out. Most professionally, one, but more importantly for me, morally, I just can't work for a human being like that. So I asked for my release and was granted it, and I'm not saying any of the stuff because I had to sign an NDA, and so yeah, it's a whole weird thing.
Young was initially released along with a host of other people during the pandemic. In the year prior, WWE weren't releasing anyone in fear they would join the new promotion, AEW. For this reason, numerous talent was simply paid to sit home. This included the team of Primo and Epico Cologne. In 2016, the Colognes had been repackaged from bullfighters to timeshare salesmen, trying to get people to come to Puerto Rico. The team wrestled on Raw roughly once a month on average, where they usually lost.
This isn't going to work out well. Knockout punch. Choke slam with authority. Big Show with the win.
Primo, Shatter Machine. Cover. Dash Wilder gets an elimination.
But once the former tag champions were drafted to SmackDown the next year, they were rarely seen at all. Despite this, they were still given new contracts, which tripled their downside guarantees. On screen, the duo worked only 2 matches together in 2018, while not featuring at all in 2019.
So I'm like, wait a minute. So you pay me this much to keep eating catering? I can wait another 3 years, and that's basically what we did.
Prior to the pandemic, the team had been sent to work in Puerto Rico before ultimately being given their marching orders during the mass releases in April 2020.
You know, I'm not hurting. I'm not getting hurt. I'm not taking bumps. I'm home more often. You know, I can give my son a really, really good education. You know, spend time with my wife. We travel. Yeah, I'll take your money if you're not going to use me. Hell yeah. So I was surprised that we lasted this long. So it's been about 5 years that we know that we're not even mentally we're not there. We're checked out, you know. So
together, the Colognes had wrestled just 10 matches in 3 years on WWE programming. In a similar vein to the Colognes, JTG was happy to collect his check and sit at home until his contract expired. So it took a few years of frustration for him to get to this stage. Jay was the odd man out after splitting with his crime time partner Shad in 2010. Shad was meant to be the one that was pushed, but quickly got released. JTG, meanwhile, kept his job, but found himself on the losing end most of the time. He received a small refresh on the old NXT, but this didn't translate to victories in the ring. He continued to pitch ideas to the writers, but after seeing his imaginary friend gimmick get given to R-Truth, JTG began to lose hope. Eventually, he didn't even want to wrestle on the C shows anymore, and would hide backstage so no one thought to use him for anything.
JTG would like literally hide in the locker room and just like not want to, like, for him to be there and we'll get his, you know, $500 a day, do nothing, and he catering and hide in the locker room was like perfectly fine. I understand it and I don't, because it's when you love it so much and like the highs are high and the lows are low.
Oh, you just want to protect yourself.
People get checked out, I think.
You know, there are guys who are hiding in the back right now, hoping that they don't get picked for a Superstars match tonight, because they just like to chill out and earn their money and just not do anything, you know.
Jay believed if he was seen, it might put it in the higher-ups' mind that he was still employed, and since they had nothing for him, they may as well fire him. This could only last for so long though, and after 9 months of inactivity, JTG was fired in June 2014. His final match was the previous September, where he hilariously sold Santino Marella's Cobra. The comical sell annoyed people backstage, and was the reason Jay was taken off TV.
Catching the boot. Cobra strike! Oh, the venom!
That sell, when I came back from the curtains, I got a standing ovation from my peers. I pissed somebody off in the back. Somebody in the back threw their headphones off, and they said that was my last match, because it sure was.
Upon being let go, JTG posted an infamous tweet begrudging his decision to pick up the phone. That's because he hadn't answered the initial call, which meant his name wasn't originally listed with the rest of those who were released. Jay talked about the lead up to his release in an interview with John Paz.
That was the ongoing joke on social media. You know, they was flying me in every week and not using me. And I even heard that they had like a countdown, so I just went along with it, went along with the joke. And even when I got released, you know, I made light of it. You know, that was the most famous. That's why I named all my books. You know, damn, why did I pick up the phone?
While JTG was happy to take his money and not get booked, the British Bulldog son Harry Smith was fed up with his lack of opportunities in WWE. Harry was known as David Hot Smith during his first run with the company, and first appeared on the main roster in June 2006 during a WWE vs ECW brawl. No one knew who he was at the time, since he'd only been working dark matches before shows. The next year, Smith began to wrestle on TV, featuring mainly on Heat and rarely on Raw unless he was losing. He was around for 7 months before being sent back to developmental. It was third time lucky on the main shows for Smith, where he linked up with Tyson Kidd in 2009. They won the tag titles twice, but their run was cut short after just over a year. Then once they split up, the company had no plans for either guy. Smith spent half a year on the C shows, only to be taken off television for 4 months before being released. The second generation star said that WWE destroyed his passion for wrestling, to the point where he considered retiring after they gave him the boot.
A lot of things with the booking with the WWE, with me, everything was sort of booked to not get over. Everything was sort of booked to be a sabotage. The bottom line is with that company is they never gave me a full chance, and that's all I want.
Following 7 years plying his trade in Japan, WWE came calling for Smith again in July 2021. He had recently inducted his father into the Hall of Fame and was signed off the back of an impressive dark match. However, this would be Harry's sole in-ring outing in his second run with the company. It was planned for him to re-debut on TV, though this never occurred, and he was let go after 4 months of inactivity.
I was going to have another dark there. Left me have it, I ended up getting COVID really bad. So I was kind of out of commission for about 3 weeks or a month, and then I was kind of forgotten about. The only thing that I was told was that I was going to be debuting on SmackDown. They were going to call me the Stampede Stud. That just never happened.
Like Smith, Shannon Moore has got the dreaded best of luck in your future endeavors phone call twice in his WWE career. Moore is remembered for his WCW run and early days on SmackDown as Matt Hardy's sidekick. After the alliance with Matt ended, Shannon didn't have much going on creatively for the rest of his time with the company. Moore was predominantly put in squash matches, since he was great at bumping around for others.
You could pretty much know what I was going to do week to week, you know, whether you watch the show or not. You could be like, well, I bet Shannon Moore is going to be on Velocity this week, and he's probably going to wrestle, FUNAKI. And
in an interview with Vince Russo, Moore spoke about his struggles during this period, both at home and in WWE.
It's just things were just starting to get just bumpy, man. I was starting to lose control a little bit with reality.
Yeah.
Not because I thought I was a star, just because I was really being me more on the road than I was at home.
Yeah.
And whenever I'd get home, I would be shackled, and then I would be shackled at home. I'd be shackled by WWE at the time. They wasn't really doing much with me.
Shannon was brought back in 2006 after being fired the year before. However, he was made to look silly in the revived version of ECW while barely getting any matches.
I knew I would go back to just being in just that good hand, you know, like, and I was okay with that because I knew I was going to get guaranteed money at first.
A drastic change in look wasn't enough to pick up any victories for Moore. He went on long losing streaks, gaining just 3 singles wins in 3 years before being let go in 08.
So, you know, they brought me back to work with Punk, and that was whenever they just kind of killed off what I had going, and wanted me to go back to long hair and just kind of the Ricky Morton style baby face. And I wasn't feeling it. I did it just, you know, financially at that point. Like, it was what I needed to do to, you know, get through my divorce at that point. But I believe there was so much more to that character.
He was one of those guys that was talented but rarely ever got an entrance and never got a win, so it was hard for fans to get behind him. These days, Moore still wrestles occasionally, but spends most of his time helping people get clean from substances, including other wrestlers. Moore struggled with addiction for a lot of his career, but has been sober since 2017. Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our similar video on 10 WWE wrestlers who ruined their bodies wrestling too long. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.